Yes, that's right. It's another edition, because I'm back. I'm back in black. Tie, that is, with a white shirt. No shoes, just socks, but we're letting the hair down, taking the gloves off. We're going to slap somebody with them, because that's what we do right now. I'm here at Late Night Thoughts. Yes, a live edition of Late Night Thoughts today. I am your wonderful host, maitre d', bartender, also a bailman too, in case you need bail. I'm Dean Ryan. That's right, I have a lot of titles, and only one key, the key to the universe that unlocks your mind, your hearts, and the side door by your garage. I got it all. That's right. I know there's something. Welcome everybody to Late Night Thoughts. I am Dean Ryan, and you are watching the first live edition of Late Night Thoughts, an original podcast of Real Deal Media. Yes, it is Real Deal Media. Not incorporated, but by you, the people, for the people here. Tonight, I'm going to be welcoming here shortly. Her name is Lexi Marie. She's got this incredible new festival that I was invited to participate and be at, but unfortunately, due to the nature of airports and my experience with them, it's a kind of impossible kind of feat to accomplish. But what's not impossible is bringing that festival to you. So tonight we're going to be getting into the Mariposa Freedom Fest. What's it all about? What does it mean? Who are these people? And it has a lot to do with the Mexican ambiance and the people who love freedom. I think she is here tonight. Lexi Marie, who's joining us all the way from Puerto Rico. Lexi, welcome to Late Night Thoughts.
Hi, Dean. How's it going?
Thank you for being here tonight. And you're all the way in Puerto Rico. Am I clear on that?
Yes, I'm currently in Puerto Rico.
Yes, currently in Puerto Rico. And I've only heard great things about the touristy areas of Puerto Rico, how beautiful it is. The rum is second to none. And the people are just incredible. I met you a long time ago. The details on that are a little blurry, missing. I saw you again after many years. We reunited in Mexico, and I have to applaud you. You guys did a great job in Anarchapulco and putting that whole event on. So let's talk about that. And just exactly what is that event and what relation is it to this next one?
In February 2024, that is going to be the 10th anniversary of Anarchapulco, and I'm not the producer of Anarchapulco. I'm the assistant producer, so I work a lot behind the scenes on that one. But so, we're really excited for this 10-year anniversary for Anarchapulco.
But nonetheless, you had a hand in getting myself down there, and the great Mike Adams, as we electrified the audience. And as I stunned the audience the very next morning when I was half awake interviewing people. So applause.
Nobody knew you were half awake. So applause to you.
What was the reception like? Because if you don't know, that festival is a healthy amount of very politically anarcho-capitalist, if you will.
Yeah, definitely an anarcho-capitalist festival, hyper-libertarian. I mean, anarcho is in the name, so Anarchapulco.
Yeah, so it must have been maybe a departure of like, what are these guys doing here?
Honestly, it's diversity at Anarchapulco since I've been working with them for the past 3 or 4 years. Like, we just keep getting new minds and new perspectives that are coming to the event and sharing ideas. So, like, while 10 years ago it was definitely a very cryptocurrency heavy anarcho capitalist vibe, lately it has expanded to so much into so much more than that.
It has, and I got to tell you, the pina coladas were next level. I'm telling you, I I must have drank with Richard Gage, the 9/11 guy. Uh, he I don't know how, but he managed to convince myself. He convinced me to be the runner to keep going. So I had a great time. We did a fantastic job, and you guys did as well. And you have this new festival called the Mariposa Freedom Fest.
So like we are talking about sustainable living, personal sovereignty, financial freedom, cryptocurrency, tech privacy, permaculture, bioconstruction, just conscious expansion. It covers a wide range of topics, but the common theme is that everyone that attends these events, they desire more personal freedom in their life.
Yeah.
Now, the difference is that like Anarchapulco is this huge production with this huge crowd, and you just get lost in the secret garden venue. There's so much going on all at once. Whereas Mariposa is at a campground. It is close enough to like Airbnbs in the airport, so very easy to get to, easy to attend if you don't want to camp. But it's a more intimate gathering in that like all of the speakers, most of them are staying there on site. They're sitting at the dinner table with you, having conversations throughout the event, and it's a much more intimate gathering. Like for me, it's really good for networking, and it's especially good for people that are currently living in Mexico or are thinking about moving to Mexico, because most of the attendees are expats that live in Mexico, and we got people from the US and Australia and Canada last year, and then people that were already established in Mexico also showed up.
Now, this is something I noticed. I would love to get your take on this, as it was quite telling and revealing to me just about a year ago. Is while in Mexico, I noticed for the first time, and I've been to Mexico many, many times, and who hasn't if you're from California? I mean, you can take a wrong turn and accidentally notice, wait a minute, there's a burro, there's chickens, and a guy selling chiclets. Where am I? You know, you might be in Mexico and you're like, oh, I'm just in East LA, never mind, I'm good. But what I've noticed this time around is there was an influx of Canadian people who weren't just there for the festival that I went to, and probably yours as well, but made the big move to Mexico under duress, in which could be classified as refugees. Is that something you've noticed too, and why exactly is that the case?
That's something I've experienced myself in that I moved to Mexico in March of 2020 when the COVID lockdown started happening in Colorado. And ever since I've been living in Mexico, there has been an influx of Australians, Canadians, Americans, Europeans. The expat numbers in Mexico grow every year, and a lot of it is politically motivated in that a law was passed that like drastically changes your way of living in your home country, and it just makes more sense to make a move so that you still have your personal freedoms and liberties to go about your daily life. Of course, it is an adjustment moving to another country, learning another language, but like I never look back. I've only visited the US one time since I left.
Right. Well, you know what I've noticed too is, as much as people were relieved to be there, there was a sense of sadness because, yes, you escaped, but you're also looking back and watching what's happening to your friends, your hometown, and I'm sure some similar things must occur with you. You know, you hear about what's happening in Colorado, not necessarily the mandates or the lockdowns, but to hear just all the people from LA are going to Colorado, that must hurt and be painful. That I mean, I know what kind of people are in LA, being there, but you know what I'm saying? It must be hard to see the place you grow up, like, oh, that was my favorite burger stand. We go after school. That's not there. And, so I got that sense from it, from the Canadians I met. Is that what you're getting? And do you feel that way being an expat?
Personally, I'm a bit detached from Colorado and where I grew up. I have this beautiful new life with beautiful new people and like just always moving forward to the next beautiful thing. And I don't put a lot of mental focus or energy or attention into the negativity of like what happened to like my old plans. Like because I thought I was going to live in Colorado forever, and then things changed, and I haven't for over 3.5 years. So I fully accept where I'm headed, where I'm going, like where the breeze takes me, because I know I'm always exactly where I need to be to live my life to the fullest. And people can choose that path or they can choose not to take that path. Like it's really all up to the individual and the environment that they're in. And like if you're not
Sure.
changing it from the inside, then there are equal
Right. Yeah.
opportunities elsewhere.
That's a very good outlook. I was just wondering, is there a third option? Usually, there's got to be a third somewhere. I'm always picking C when life throws me curveballs. We have one of our Real Deal members, Angelina Wolf, saying, 20 years here in Baja California, moved from Colorado as well. Hey, Lexi, this might be a Colorado thing. I'm going to diagnose that. But yeah, no problems elsewhere. May I ask what part of Colorado? I'm just curious because I've been there.
I was in Colorado Springs.
I felt a jolt. Um, Yeah, me personally, yeah, I probably would not want to go back to Colorado Springs. I found it very dark undertoned, and yeah, I could see why that would be.
They do have a lot of military there. Like me, I was there and I was just heavily involved with the Libertarian Party. I was chair of El Paso County. I was on the state board as outreach director. I was really
Really.
involved in the libertarian politics in Colorado. And that was sad to leave. But then as soon as I left, everyone in the Libertarian Party started infighting about we shouldn't have a convention because there's a pandemic, or we should have a convention, no masks, like, and there was all of this infighting in the Libertarian Party, and it's just like, well, y'all aren't being very libertarian now, are you? So like, it was sad to see it go that way, but I had already left the state like a few months before it really started getting weird, even like in my old circles.
Interesting. You mentioned Libertarian Party. They've now come up to the fold here in the conversations of the big political election season we've been in, and there has been whispers that RFK Jr. may run as a libertarian, which I think that has now been negated because he's going to do independent. But but just the idea that could happen because the Libertarian Party has, I believe, ballot access in all 50 states. Maybe 49. I don't know if they count Delaware as a state still. Where do you see that the party? I mean, isn't this a great time for the libertarians to really make a stand or some kind of relevance right now? Because, like you said,
I would
there
love to
wasn't
see that happen. They tend to choose the most pragmatic nominee that has talking points with their specific platform. They choose the most principled, pragmatic person, and it's usually somebody that is unknown, has no following, and like bless their hearts, but they're not winning votes by putting the libertarian platform on a ballot. So, yeah, like if they had RFK, then they might turn some heads, but I don't think they've ran anybody noteworthy since Gary Johnson, and like that was the best they could do that year.
yeah,
So
yeah, you're
like
right.
I'm rooting for them, but like I don't want to be a pessimist and be like they've got no chance. But like I also
You're,
like to be a realist.
they remind me of yeah, they're like the little engine that could. Here's your fellow native Angelina Muff says lots of Colorado folk moved from Tellerud. I miss the mountains, but loving the beach, the surf, nice lifestyle, great food. That's right, you guys had mountains there and great food and a lot of microbreweries. I heard in Colorado, so I probably would miss that too. But anyways, but this is what I've always noticed about the libertarians is I think if they're what they stand for is very uniting in a way because it's sound money, it's no nation building, personal liberty, and it respects what the United States and the Constitution was set forth to be initially, which was a regulated democracy, a republic. And like you said, winning the hearts and minds is more almost, and I know it is more important than winning an argument. In politics. You know,
Democracy is a popularity contest.
it
So
is. It is.
like it doesn't mean the best man or woman is getting voted in. It's just whoever catches the most attention, and that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be good at leading or even do the things that they're campaigning on.
That's true. I mean, look, I've always thought too, and you made great sense. They never pick the right people. Like, why would they allow someone we know? Like, why would they allow people like that? They're just like, remember the one guy had a boot on his head, and it was like the something. I mean, this is
Yes,
what the
yeah,
hell are we doing?
Vermin Supreme and others, like I love them as individuals, and
Yes,
I don't believe the Libertarian Party has ever actually nominated them as the
no,
presidential
they
candidate,
right.
but they
Allowed one
catch so
fish.
much attention that everybody sees them and get this impression that, like, oh, that's
Exactly.
everybody in the Libertarian Party, because the Libertarian Party is such a minority. They don't really look at how many different factions are within even the small minority
Exactly.
party.
You know what I mean? And I've always thought that is it just focusing on the presidential and executive? Why doesn't the libertarian message come to the local? Getting
They
a
do.
judge.
That's what I was doing with the Libertarian Party is like I was going to gun shows and community fairs and I was setting up like the Libertarian booth and I never talked about candidates. I simply talked about like okay, where like do you think that drugs should be decriminalized? Do you think people should be going to prison for nonviolent crimes? And like do you think taxes need to be higher? And like I would just start conversations with people about the principles. And I was very successful at like getting people to actually engage in a serious conversation and consider that like their team red and team blue weren't so black and white, and to understand that there are, political ideologies outside of the two major parties,
Mhm.
and especially like more leaning towards freedom in both these financial and social sense. So like that's what I was doing with Libertarian Party. I was never like vote for our candidate.
Mhm.
I was more
Educate.
into just educating local people on the principles.
Which is important because I think that in your journey, that was building your repertoire and learning from others. Just as you met people, and I certainly got involved when I was in college in politics. I thought I wanted to do that. I took a poli sci class until I said something that wasn't too popular, and one of the kids stood up and rushed me. We got in a fight in the class. Different story, but I wound up interning. I said to my teacher at the time, I said, I don't care who I intern. I just want to just see how it goes. I wound up interning for a Republican guy who was a state assembly in California. And I said, wow, this is just doesn't feel right to me because it was so convoluted, contrived. It just wasn't real enough. And when something's not real, I can't get behind it. And then, someone like Ron Paul, I'm sure that name, know that many of,
Yeah, of course I know Ron Paul.
well, yes, personally, or so he changed my different perspectives, and it wasn't because he was that's what I was looking for, but like you said, bringing conversations that I've yet never heard before is what opened my mind. Yeah, the Green Party right now that has turned into, my God, they want mandates. They only have small ballot access, and they've gotten away with their party standards stem from, and have just turned into DNC. Half the calories.
Yeah,
What a
yeah.
joke!
I'm not even sure what differentiates the Green Party and the DNC anymore.
Two things: a hammer and a sickle. That's what it is.
I
And then we'll get that.
thought they were both into that these days.
No. Just one has a hammer. That's it. And if you don't know the hammer,
Oh, I see. I see. They're working hand in hand.
yeah, hand in hand, hand in hand. We have somebody asking, do you have to claim Mexican citizenship to get to Mexico? Good question.
Um, I lived illegally in Mexico for 3 years. And
Allegedly,
then one
correct?
day, yeah, allegedly, I was an illegal alien. And then I just went to the immigration office and told them that I had been living there illegally for 3 years, and they gave me a residence card. So,
Fun.
like, yeah, like now I am an accountant. I have online income. I was able to prove that I wasn't like stealing work from them and stuff like that. There was
God
a
forbid.
process,
Yeah.
but like I it was a very easy process to get my residency, and I didn't really follow the proper channels as far as getting it goes. I went to the immigration office. Now you do have to go to certain immigration offices. The one in Puerto Vallarta is a very popular destination to go to. They approve everybody that walks through those doors and gives them a Mexican residency. I personally don't know anyone who has been turned away, and I know a lot of people who have gone into that specific
That's true.
immigration office that have walked out with their residency, and it was easy. It sucks. You have to get there at like 4 in the morning, wait in line because they
Mhm.
don't make appointments. You just have to be there and be in the queue. But like I got there at
So,
like 4:30 a.m. and then I was out by about 3 p.m. It was a long day. It was a long day, but I walked away with my card like in hand the same day.
it happens. Well, that's the way it happens. I mean, I remember I walked by that office. I didn't want citizenship. They said, "Hey, you look like you want a green card." And I'm like, "No," but that's how easy it is.
It
And
is.
but I want to get into Mexico now. And someone's asking what part of Mexico you live from. You can answer that or not. I don't know if you want to share. Um,
I've been living in Morelia, Michoacan because personally I like colder weather.
okay.
So I'm kind of up in the mountains a little bit in central
See,
Mexico, and
Colorado.
yeah,
Colorado.
that's the Colorado in me. Is like
Mhm.
I think it's technically the same mountain range and everything, just a bit further south. Um, but yeah, so I've been in Morelia, and I really like it. There's a small freedom community there. Like
Mhm.
it's they have little monthly meetups. I think it's fallen to like maybe every other month, or somebody just randomly has people over. But yeah, like it's really easy to tap into any of the freedom networks that are there. There, if you go on Telegram and just search Freedom Cell,
Mhm.
a bunch of groups will pop up, and a lot of them are scattered all over Mexico. So it's really easy to find people, like even if they're not like exactly of your ideology. Again, just that
Love that.
unifying principle of like we're all individuals that are looking for a freer life, and now we're all expats in Mexico. Yeah, so like I've met a bunch of people through that, and a lot of them first came to Anarchapulco and then decided to
That's great.
stay and just moved throughout Mexico, and now they're coming to Mariposa or speaking at Mariposa,
Right.
and yeah.
Well, so this is interesting. I want to get into Mexico now because I have some very, very deep rooted concerns. Uh, but I will say, on just a positive note, before I go dark and get into the heavy metal portion of tonight. So, I've been monitoring the international scene to no end. So much so, I'm starting to annoy myself because I'm like, where am I? What is going on, and what am I going to do about it? But if there's one thing I've noticed is that there seems to be an influx, not into Mexico, but a flood and a flooded influx of migrants into the United States. And we broke it down in the demographics of who, where, how, where they're all coming from. And a good portion of them are coming from Latin America, as expected, cliche. But an overwhelming amount are coming from what they called other, the country of other. So one of my first questions, Lexi, is do you see the influx of the passerbyers of migrants from all over the world coming through your neighborhoods and hallways in Mexico and flooding into the U.S.? And if so, who is providing the transportation and the effort to doing that? Because a lot of people might be seeing this thinking it's the Mexico government, but it's not that black and white, is it?
I personally never see Mex or immigrants coming from other Latin American countries through Mexico. From what I hear, they are mostly walking or taking buses, and the Mexican immigration does stop and deport a lot of people back to Colombia. So, but also Mexico is such a large, diverse country, and you have some government officials that are in cahoots with this cartel, and then other government officials that are working with a different cartel, and they are not working with each other. So it is not a black and white situation at all. If you try to break down Mexican politics and what is going on, it is absolute chaos.
Crazy. What makes it chaotic? Because Mexico City is the most millionaires per capita, one of them, and it's one of the most polluted cities in the world. Yet you have the Pope, as of yesterday, waving his popey finger at the U.S., saying we need to fall under climate. And I'm thinking, has he not just took a long breath in Mexico City?
I lived in Mexico City for 10 months and I had to move to Morelia because I got sick. The pollution was
Really?
so bad that it gave me just a permanent like
Exactly.
bronchitis type of sickness. So, and then like a couple months after I was out of there, that went away. So, I know for it was definitely the pollution. I couldn't stay there long term. Um,
See, I mean, where's the Pope? Where's his finger wagging and saying no mas, no mas? Okay, so you said complications. Now that's interesting. Having covered Canada because of the crises going on up there, as Americans, and it's really sad. I'm sure you'll agree. We really are not taught anything about Canada outside of they have maple syrup and really great ginger ale and shitty bands. Uh, the same applies to Mexico in the way their politics. We know about Santa Ana and the historical, it's just talking points of it, but we don't know how it's run today. You know, once you get past the cartel faction of it. But so, just how complicated, in a very non-complicated way, can you articulate Mexico and what they're all about there politically?
the simplest way I can put it is that the Mexican government's very inefficient. They do sometimes pass laws that are socialist leaning or even like socially conservative, where they're like doing things like banning vapes or, like just non-libertarian laws are being passed in Mexico.
Mhm.
But like I can go to the mercado in Mexico and I'm still able to buy my nicotine vapes. There's even weed vapes there and
Yeah,
marijuana and
allegedly,
yeah,
yeah,
so
that's what I
it's
heard.
so it's like I go to the mercado and like the same person that sells me fruits and veggies like has all of this stuff. You just got to ask for it, and
Right.
like they don't think you're sketchy at all. Like they're just happy to do business with you. And like like local police will be walking around the markets and nobody cares. So the federal laws that they're passing are not being enforced on the streets. Now, of course, like with corruption, if you're like carrying marijuana on you and like some asshole cop comes up to you and like the worst they're going to do is steal your weed. You're not going to jail. You're not, like just
No,
don't carry a bunch
wait
of
a minute.
cash
They're
or
gonna
illicit
the weed.
substances. And like you
Oh
like
my god.
nobody's going to like
Now I have
bother
to
you
ask you.
in
Wait a minute.
Mexico.
So they're going to steal your weed. Are they going to smoke it right in front of you too, and just
They
torture
won't smoke it right in front
you?
of
Right.
you. I
Okay.
haven't experienced that, and I've never
That's what
had
I would
my
do.
weed stolen. I've never had my peso stolen by the police. But like I have had friends that are just like, yeah, the cops shook me down. They stole my cash and they stole my
Mm.
weed. Like, but like they didn't get a ticket. They didn't go to jail. Like, like it was they don't yeah like the police there, and from what I've experienced, like they don't want to do the paperwork. So there is a bit of abuse of power and corruption, but like not to a level that like they're gonna get in trouble for it. So yeah, like it's the wild
True.
wild west there.
It is. It is. It is
It
wild.
really
No.
it really is. So like yeah, like if
And
you want more freedom and are willing to have like a little less security, like that is the reality. But at the same time, like if you go to Chicago or Detroit, like it's more dangerous there than anywhere I was living in Mexico.
that
So
is true. Sort of. Yeah, that's so true. And just hearing that, my takeaway is I think we need more weed smoking cops. I think that is the answer. Think about that. Cops walking around, big old belly and a bag of donuts in a big old joint next to him. That's what that may be the remedy here. Here's some people chiming in here. We have Angelina Wolf, who seems to follow you everywhere you go. Lexi, she started in Colorado. Now she's in Mexico, and she'll probably go to Puerto Rico next. We'll see if history
No,
serves.
she's gonna go to Mariposa next.
Mary Post, she will go. We'll hook you up. She has huge influx of Argentinians there, indeed. Then she says, "Yep, tiendas are drug dealers too. Anything you want, okay, okay." And then cartel, she says, "Will kill outsiders for selling for
Yes.
to do nothing."
Do not grow too many avocados. Do not sell any drugs. I think though, like if you don't do those two things, you're going to be fine in Mexico. Don't go there as an expat and try to be a drug dealer. Don't grow too many avocados. I don't know what it's up with the avocado cartels, but they are a thing. Don't own a bunch of land with a bunch of avocados.
Okay, avocado Nazis look at you.
But yeah, like if you're not competing with the cartels, and it is very easy to live in Mexico and not be in competition with the cartels, then I've been perfectly safe there for 3.5 years.
Okay. Well, there goes my business plan going to Mexico. All right.
Yeah.
There goes that one. Well, okay. So we talk about an influx of Argentinians, and that's interesting. And it's interesting in Argentina, too. I also have a contact in Ecuador. But regarding Argentina, and I want to ask you, they're actually now experiencing a revival of their sovereignty, freedom, inner freedom, their inner child that loves freedom. They have a new presidential candidate that is all the talk. But is that true? So there's an influx of Argentinians, as one of your neighbors said. But I've also
there is.
Oh, there is. Okay. What about Chinese? Let's talk about China, the big red, yellowish elephant in the room. Now,
definitely not as much. Like Asians are definitely a very, very small minority from what I've seen in Mexico. Every once in a while, you'll find an entire apartment building that is full of Asians. I'm not sure exactly which country they might be from. But given that like it'll be down the street from one of those like Chinese stores that has all the cheap electronics and then like a China buffet, like I can put two and two together and assume, but I've never seen more than like maybe a small apartment building full of them in one place in Mexico.
Okay. So there's hotels full of Asians. Are you sure you weren't at a geisha house? That's my next one. That was
no, definitely an apartment building. The apartment buildings in Mexico do look different than the hotels.
I was going to say, yeah. I mean, if you start seeing someone eating a chimichanga with chopsticks, you might be in the wrong place. Well, the reason I ask is, the past 10 years, speaking of influx, you've seen military bases, and especially at the ports. Probably not where you are. You're in the mountain area, but the closer you get to Tijuana, Baja California. There is a Chinese natives influence in an acceleration of populace around there. And
coming into Baja California, that doesn't surprise me nearly as much. I've never been to Baja. I don't know anything about like the northern half of Mexico. I've become quite familiar with like central Mexico and south, especially towards the west coast, like Cancun, Acapulco, Puerto Vallarta, Mazatlan, and then just like Mexico City and Morelia. But I haven't really made it to any of the other places. So like my perspective of Mexico is very limited to like the Southwest regions.
So here's my big, I guess where I'm going with it, and to further express is, we see an uptick in violence. I cover these stories all the time. All the people going to Tumar, Toulon, and all the tourist areas. The cartels seem to be stealing, taking over, and going after the wealth and the Canadians. And everything of that matter. What I see happening is in the downturn of the United States and the West, and the people who have that racial makeup, if you will, they seem to get targeted throughout time and throughout the historical lessons. Whether it was the Jews escaping Germany, which is very much very similar to what we see here, they tend to get targeted, and hence why the Jews had to change their last names to Polish names or German names. Do we see that happening again? Because there's no question about it, Lexi, that violence and the uptake is occurring. But so is the resentment for American policies, what the CIA has done to the Central Americas and other economies around the world. Do we see the hatred towards, I guess, Whitey on the rise?
That is not something I've ever experienced in the parts of Mexico that I've been in. I can't speak for what's going on in the north. I will say that like there's a general disdain for Americans specifically, but I definitely haven't experienced it as far as like hatred towards white people. In fact, like Mexico is one of the most racist places I've ever been in that they don't like darker people there, and it's really
That's
embarrassing
true.
for like just
That's true.
that is the state of the culture there though. Like I definitely have never run into any problems there, and yeah, like that is not something I've experienced. That is something I've experienced in the US. You get all these social justice warriors that are, like screeching about white privilege, and then it almost turns into a reverse. But that is, yeah, no, like the furthest thing from anything I've experienced in
Right.
Mexico.
Well, what you said is so true. Is a lot of people don't know what Mexico does is they have no middle class, right? So you have the extremely rich or extremely poor. So the extremely poor just so happen to be, as you said, the darker Mexicans, bald-legged, some of them very tiny. Those are like the original like Aztecs Mexicans. The people running the country, I've always found, are tall, white, green eyes. The Spaniards who took over have always seemed to just reign power while pushing the poverty into the corporate welfare, just greeters over here in the U.S. So they don't have a true revolution in Mexico and have to deal with these people. And I mean, I've been to Ensenada enough times where which I don't like going to. You can only hold your breath that long. But that's what I've noticed is you absolutely hit on the head is the Spaniard stranglehold of the government in Mexico.
You know, yeah, that is definitely the case. Like, and it's very localized to this specific neighborhood. Like, you walk in one neighborhood and they'll even refer to themselves as Whitesicans. And then yeah, like, and then the Morenos will even refer themselves as Morenos. And it is a very divided society for sure. There is not a lot of like ending up at the same social events or any of that. It is a very segregated culture on that front.
Interesting. Interesting. Lexi, I want to take this quick break and I want to come back and get into the festival and kind of it concludes very strong here and how people can get their tickets and if we can watch online. So we'll get into those little details here. Lexi, stand by. You are watching a members only, for now, members only late night thoughts as we're talking about everything and nothing at all, but specifically we're talking about Mexico, Puerto Rico, kill Whitey, Aztecs, just all kinds of subjects, that are just, we're demystifying the folklore that has been pushed upon us, aren't we? It's a very peaceful place. The Mexican culture, lovely, lovely, lovely people. In fact, I'm actually getting hungry now. I don't know why. I'm just kind of starving here tonight. So, anyways, we'll be right back here for Late Night Thoughts after this quick message, and we'll round it all up after the break. Stand by. Don't know why I came here tonight. I've got a feeling that something ain't right. I'm so scared in case I fall out my chair. I was wondering how I got downstairs. And now I'm to the left of me, Joker's to the right. Here I am, stuck in the middle with you. Stuck in the middle with you. And wondering what I should do. Yeah, it's so hard to keep a smile on my face. Lose control, yeah, all the love, all the grace. Yeah, Joker's to the left of me, clowns to the right. Here I am, stuck in the middle with you. Here I am, stuck in the middle with you. Please, please. Okay, we are back. We are back. We are back. I just got locked out. We are back, everybody. Welcome back to Late Night Thoughts. I'm still your late night host with the most, Dean Ryan. It is really great to be partaking in this show and learning a very international perspective That's Dennis from Colorado with our guest here tonight, Lexi Marie. Tonight's show, in case you didn't know, well, it's brought to you by the Real Deal Media Store. Oh, yes, it is. Oh, yes, it is. Where right now we are having the fall collection. The fall collection. Why fall for anything else when you can go to the Real Deal Media Store by going to realdealmedia.tv/store. Make sure you get that actual Trump mug right there. Next time you wake up in the morning and want that bourbon immediately, but want the world to know that, well, you like bourbon in the morning, but make sure you have an actual Trump, and make sure to just totally shock people and why that is. And that's what I do every single day. I just walk around with that in a bathrobe, which we do have the new bathrobes, as you saw. Because life is too cool to wear clothes when you can wear the Real Deal Media bathrobe. I'd be wearing mine right now, but it's at the cleaners. Can you believe that? And we know how that goes. So just go to realdealmedia.tv/store to do that, and your life will change instantly. And don't grow avocados. I just learned that one too. We're going to welcome back Lexi Marie. Lexi here. Welcome back to the Late Night Thoughts there. And look at that. Just a little bourbon, or I guess tequila in the morning with your actual Trump mug. The world know the life's a jungle, and welcome to it. All right, we're concluding back here. Getting back here, we have a lot of people who are asking inquiries. If you're open to a few questions before we slam dunk it, Lexi, we have.
Sure, throw them at me.
Yes. Okay, we have your neighbor Angelina right there. How far is Baja from where you are? Was that a few hours or?
That is several hours. That's probably a 20-hour drive from where I live, and
really?
I think even if I'm in Puerto Vallarta, it's at least like a 10 or 15-hour drive, and then it's an expensive ferry, or it's like a 25-hour drive to drive all the way up and around and down into the peninsula. But yeah, I've never been up there.
Well, one of our members, she's right there, and she plays music too. You might want a nice acoustic guitarist there as well. We can make that.
Hey, we're actually inviting people to bring their instruments, because one of the nights we want to do an acoustic campfire jam session. So please bring your instruments. And
okay, Angelina, you have the open invite there to go to the festival, which we're going to show you how to do that in a second. Yeah, and we'll film it too. But Angelina asked, as you see it here, as you know, Dean, anti-American sentiments growing. Wasn't always like this. Yesterday, they resent our wealth, but we also have stronger work ethics as Americans might take. And they also resent too just our perfect hair, Lexi. We have perfect hair compared to Mexicans. Don't you think so? Okay,
see, I don't see the resentment, but yes, we do have perfect hair.
All the time. I have just, I don't even want to get into it. It's just nightmarish. Here's some, you knew this, but here's someone else asking. We have Facebook user and birth name, mind you. Do you know what happens if you are caught dealing drugs in Mexico? Would you be able to contact the American government to help you with your case? Great question.
You better hope the cops catch you and not the cartel, because if the cartel catches you, you're just going to disappear. And as far as government enforcement goes, it's so I don't know any foreigners that have gotten caught up with the Mexican government, and when they did, they worst case would be in jail for a few days and then be deported to their home country. I have no idea. I'm not a good source to answer this question.
We have Angelina Mofus says Mariposa Fest, November. Yeah, time for the monarchs. Yes, it is.
Yes, the monarch butterflies are migrating at that time of year. That is the beginning of the monarch season. Yes, but Mariposa, the name, obviously butterflies are just flying free, and it's good symbolism. But the venue we have the event on, Rancho Madre Tierra, which translates to Mother Earth Ranch. They actually have a butterfly sanctuary, butterfly garden at the venue. So it's such a beautiful, serene place.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And there's going to be a lot of butterflies and butterfly kisses and wishes. The lodging, you can camp out there.
We do have
Glamping.
glamping this year too. And like I said, the venue's only 15 minutes from the Puerto Vallarta International Airport. You can easily get there by Uber or taxi, and there are so many like hotels and Airbnbs nearby, like if camping isn't specifically your thing. But yeah, no, like lots of opportunity for all different types of interests there.
And this is what I love about independent festivals, independent minded, liberty minded festivals is, it starts with that instant, philosophical connection, but it then turns into, oh, just a really fun, just kind of an event, and where you can just feel relaxed. Again, you want to go to Mariposa.
MariposaFreedomFest.com.
That's right. That's right.
You
Lexi's
can also
prepared.
find us on Facebook. If you just search Mariposa Freedom Festival, it will come up on Facebook. And if you're on Telegram, you can find our group there. It's at Mariposa Freedom Fest. So yeah, find us on Telegram, Facebook, go straight to the website. You can see it right there. Tickets are on sale. It's only 40 USD for the 3-day pass for general admission, because I wanted to price it in a way that like it was accessible to local Mexicans as well. It is overwhelmingly like expats and international people that show up, but we do have a few locals that come and talk about like herbalism and traditional medicine, and they're going to have a Temescal ceremony there. So like we do integrate the local culture and community as much as we can.
Absolutely. And I would also suggest, if you're going to go to this festival, do not bring any guacamole unless you value your life. Very dangerous.
Like I said, just don't own land with the avocado trees growing on it. I think it's a water rights issue. I think it boils down to water rights. And
you reached out to me, Lexi, and I'm glad you did, because I'm always open to promoting just lovely events, and with people that are producing. You always done good work, and so we want to champion that. But any kind of final thoughts here on Late Night Thoughts you want to share with this late night crowd who's watching from all over the world?
Thank you so much for having me, and I hope to see some of you all in November at Mariposa Freedom Festival.